I got plenty
Hey,
to
guess
say.
what? We suck. We suck bad. We suck worse. We suck now, and we got exposed by Old Miss. And Lane Kiffin is a good coach now. You realize we made Lane
Well,
Kiffin a good coach. Did you realize that, y'all? It's bad. We talk about all the horribleness and what to change next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Everybody, this is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. More on them in a second. Thank you for the everydayers and the first listen. It's the Overreaction Show, so you better be listening to this. Old Miss fan, glad you're here, and get after us.
Thrilled
We
to
stand in
have
the
you.
paint, and we own it. We're owning this one.
You
Good
beat a
on y'all.
mediocre team at home. Good for you, Ole Miss. Proud of you. Proud of you. Let me start here, Clint,
Please go ahead.
because Lane Kiffin ain't a good coach. Here's this hard truth. You don't have to be a good coach to beat this Georgia team. Caitlin DeBoer beat this Georgia team, and he is questionable at best as a head coach. You don't have to be a good coach to beat a soft. Remember soft, Clint? We're back.
Oh, I remember
We're
soft.
back. Oh, we're back. We're back like Texas. This team is soft. This team is unprepared for the moment. This team is consistently underwhelming in a big spot. 1 billion turnovers against Texas. That's what this team has done this year, guys. Like, that's what this team has done this year. And by the way, beating Texas by 15 points is something that we Georgia fans called a blowout. Guess what that means, Georgia fans? It means that Ole Miss just blew us out. This is not a good look for this Georgia team. Georgia fans should be frustrated. And I think, if for no other reason, we should be frustrated because we can see signs that it shouldn't be this way. You know, like, you can see talent. You can see scheme. You can see players popping, making plays, being in the right spots. It shouldn't be this way, and yet, Clint, it is.
It be, Daniel.
It be.
It be. I think that's what's so. You look at a team like Indiana, and Indiana gets exciting because it's clear as day they are playing 2 tiers above their talent and station in life, and good for them.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun for them. It's exciting for them. Good for. I think what's so frustrating is not that we're struggling through things, and college football is a struggle. You have to go out there and win. Kirby Smart has always said, like, I want you to be hungry. I want you to eat. I want to keep chopping. And before it's been, okay, let's go do that. And we've risen to the occasion. This team is not rising to the occasion, is absolutely ducking it. And I'm going to name names because I think some dudes just got on here, and this inevitably happens. You've heard Nick Saban talk about this. You've heard every good coach and every good program have to go through these. It just so happens that this year, it's like the roulette wheel just has hit on multiple dudes countless times over. I'm going to talk to the dudes on offense. Let's start with the dudes in which I want to get blame in there incredibly quickly. And if you think we have any offensive lineman who is worth their salt in NIL or scholarship or attention or draft choices or anything, you're wrong. We don't have anybody right now. Ole Miss, this game came down to 2 things for me, Daniel. Very simply, 2 things. If we did these 2, I just got done over Bleacher Report, and I said there's 4 phases of the game: physicality on offense, getting guys open on offense, physicality on defense, and covering guys. Okay, but we sucked at every phase this time. Georgia has sucked maybe on 1, maybe at 1.5 for the season, but the other ones have risen. Mississippi State, guys running open all over the place. But we played physical enough on defense. We played physical enough on offense, and guys were getting open. Deficiency covered. This game, however, everything, and it started for me, the 2 things it came down to is a lack of any competent play on the offensive line. If we had any competent, we would have been fine. And the second thing, any pressure on defense. It's It's that simple. I know guys were wide open coverage wise, but on those big coverage plays, we held them to field goals. Daniel, like we got down the red zone and they kicked field goals out of it, except for one in which Malachi Starks flipped and KJ Bolden was all on his own. But physicality on offensive line and physicality on the edge on defense was non-existent. Tate Ratledge, oh my gosh, I don't know if you're not healthy. I have no clue.
Let's name things that our offensive linemen do well.
Okay, great.
Host a podcast.
Very good at hosting podcasts.
I finished. No. Did you have anything you wanted to add to the list?
Daniel, I was going to take over mine after you went.
Okay. But this is me informing you. I covered all the available material.
Tate Ratledge is bad.
He's playing really, really bad.
Like
what's he doing?
Had to be removed, and we had to insert Freeling to right tackle and move Xavier Trust inside to right guard because you couldn't hack it.
Yeah, because I mean Micah Morris situation, like that hurts because Tate Ratledge not worth anything in there right now. Ernest Green just getting beaten like a rented mule on the outside. I'm talking.
He didn't put his hand on people, Daniel.
No, miss. I mean, swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. We put Oscar Delp over there to help him.
Yes.
Oscar Delp engaged the defensive lineman, held on for as long as he could. Ernest Green looked. He looked in that direction. That was what he contributed to the play, led to a sack. You say what you will about Carson Beck. Carson Beck was running for his ever-loving life tonight and used his legs, I thought, admirably to make some plays, especially in the second half. Carson Beck's played terrible this season. We're on record as saying that. He's part of the problem for the Georgia offense.
Yes, he is.
But he wasn't necessarily part of the problem tonight. The tip interception, not his fault. Those fumbles, what's he supposed to do? It's a jailbreak, Clint, up front, and it's coming up the inside. It's coming around the edge. It's coming from the right. It's coming from the left. It's on all sides.
Yes.
So we're running this quick stuff, all these bubbles, and guess what? The perimeter blocking, it also sucks, Clint. What does Kirby say football's all about? Block and tackle.
There it is.
Yeah.
What did we suck at today more than anything else?
Well, you got to block and tackle if that's what football is all about. So we didn't block anybody tonight in any situation on the outside, on the inside, on a pass play, on a run play. I thought Nate Frazier with the fumbles. We'll talk about it. I need to take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
But I thought when Etienne and Nate Frazier ran the ball well, it was in spite of the offensive line. Clint, how many plays did they make from nothing?
Yes.
Etienne in the backfield doing absolute wizardry.
Cass Jones got a couple of carries, and he got 1.5 yards because Cass Jones is the type of player that needs open lanes to get with. He's a commendable piece of the offense, and we're glad he's here. Turns out he couldn't run anywhere because his skill is not to the level of Frazier and Etienne. Frazier and Etienne made those yards on their own with zero help from the offensive line whatsoever.
Offensive line played its worst game of the season, not even close. And what a spot to absolutely prove that you are undermanned, that you don't belong, that this defensive front for Ole Miss.
Yep. No, you said the school correctly.
This defensive front for Ole Miss absolutely whipped you, and you put that G on your helmet like you were somebody. It's pathetic. Not the worst position group, though, Clint, in the game. When we come back, we're moving to the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. And I'm gonna let you know also, we're gonna get back to Carson Beck. I saw something in tonight's game that I haven't seen all year. It's convinced me, Daniel and I on a record saying Carson Beck is part of the problem and Kirby Smart won't bench him. I actually think there's an open door now, and it has nothing to do with the interception ratio. It has something else to do. Two things I saw. We're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about these. These are, in fact, LinkedIn jobs where you need to go right now. Post your job for free. You got millions and millions of people out there. LinkedIn jobs is the place that you need to go to find the right candidate for the right position on your team. And if you need a new team, LinkedIn jobs is going to help you out finding that position. It's fantastic. Everything you need right over there. They got AI tools to help you go ahead and draft summaries, draft descriptions, find the right person. Most applicants find a team after 24 hours because those teams will find 86% find a good applicant within 1 day of posting their job. Post your job for free right now. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege is where millions of people are worldwide. Network of people. Find the right job. Terms and conditions apply, but post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Daniel, I'm going to start this way.
All right.
Two things I saw Carson Beck.
Let's
We're
talk
going to do
defense.
You want to talk defense?
Let's start Carson Beck, and then we'll go defense third segment.
I saw two things. Ernest Green played a trash game, but I saw something happen on the very last drive of the game in which before Carson Beck got sacked and fumbled and Ole Miss took over and then took down the clock. I saw Ernest Green, middle of the play, give up on the play, saw the sack, saw the fumble, put his head down and walk off the field like he had no care, no pride what just happened whatsoever. I haven't seen a Georgia offensive player do that in any of the struggling times we've seen so far. That was thing one I saw. Thing two I saw.
Okay.
I saw.
I'm sorry. Can I interject here before we get to thing two? And you, Georgia fan, want to tell me this is still a playoff team? Like, is this really? We're going to talk this week about the college football playoff. We're going to talk about if Georgia still belongs, if there's anything, if there's a path, like what that path looks like, who's ahead of us. I'll just tell you this right now. It's not the easiest, clearest path in the world, Georgia fans. But just look at the team. This is a team that, boy, you just feel like is going through a tough patch. You mentioned it, like quitting on a play. Absolutely. We were outclassed tonight. And you haven't seen Georgia, even in that first half against Alabama, the way that team fought back as poorly as they played. And good Lord, the defense played as poorly as a team could play in the first half of that game. This team showed grit. They showed determination. They showed the character of their head coach, Kirby Smart.
Yep.
And they battled back. This team may be losing that, Clint.
Yes. And it comes from Carson Beck. The thing in which will get Carson Beck benched, and I'm here to tell you there's a crack in the door because
let's talk.
I saw people not following him. Kirby Smart is all about leadership. It's all about mission, team, and me. These are the three things he talks about constantly. And I saw Carson Beck not have a mission, team, and me mentality. I saw him have a me mentality. Rashada was on the sidelines pep talking him up. Daniel, I saw Carson Beck want to go sit by himself. I saw Rashada come over and talk him up and get him excited. And I saw Carson Beck smiling and laughing the entire time that he was being talked to and encouraged and picked me up. That sort of crap is what Kirby will talk about. And when Kirby is not embodied by Carson Beck does not emulate his coach. Stetson Bennett emulated his coach.
Sure.
Let's go out and fight. Those two things made me say, "Oh, Carson, if you're, bro, you may get replaced in a hurry because Kirby Smart is not going to do it based upon interceptions or whatever that skill. That's never been the question. It's been, are you hungry? Do you have grit? And if you're not, and you start losing the team, then
here's the problem,
over.
Clint.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, Clint. And we're going to talk about the defense,
yeah.
who I thought such a mixed review on the defense because on the one hand, you mentioned they played pretty admirably. On the other hand, they played like absolute donkey turds the entire game. But before we get into that, that's the thing. The problem with all of this, Clint, and you're right on, you're spot on in your analysis. There's a 0.0% chance that a change at quarterback happens by Saturday afternoon. 0% chance. It's not happening.
Not Saturday afternoon. Correct.
Yeah. Saturday night, Clint.
Uh-huh.
It might be too late. Like the season ends. You understand? Like with an L on Saturday, and
I think Kirby knows that.
Guys.
Daniel, I think Kirby knows that.
but how bad do you have to let it get before you go there? And can you then dig your way out of that hole? Like, I don't know.
We're going to find out
It's a
before half
dangerous
on Saturday.
game.
It's
a
I don't like the game.
dangerous game.
Okay, let's get to the
play.
defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the guys who played well very quickly on the defensive
Sure,
side
let's
of the
do
ball.
that. That won't take long.
Okay.
And then segment, we'll have the. Yeah, we'll have the. Okay, I thought the defensive front actually played pretty well. I thought like Warren Brinson is not Stackhouse.
Yeah.
Like I thought those guys played pretty well.
They did.
I thought there were moments when Jalen Walker looked like a great player. But they were running through that Ole Miss offensive line on the first series, Clint, like they were a 10 horn. And then that Ole Miss offensive line got things fixed, and Jackson Dart had all kinds of time. So did you stop the run against a team that literally just could not, cannot, will not, should not run? Yeah. You stopped the run. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. But you didn't do the things you needed to do, even on the defensive front, to disrupt the game and to make enough winning plays. You had to get pressure on Jackson Dart. You saw what happened when we did. Like, chaos.
We were fine. We controlled the game. The defense was on the field far too much. The defensive line did admirably. I think the defense was put in a hole. We said Ole Miss was going to score on this defense. We did not have any anticipation when the first drive went down there and they had guys running free underneath. I think the other thing, this is really bizarre. I think over the top defense was fine. There was no shots over the top of this defense. We're going to talk about tackling and lack of everything underneath here in a second. Raylan Wilson, I think you did fine game. No one played great on defense, but Raylan Wilson played fine. Defensive front played fine. Chaz Chambliss, you're good with me. You, Cass Jones, and Dan Jackson, my favorite guys to make fun of before the season. I'm not making fun of you ever again. You were fine. Thank you for being
here. And
the
red zone defense was really kept Georgia in this game. Golly, Georgia had a chance to win it. Like, had a chance to compete in this game.
8 minutes left. 8 minutes left. We had a chance in this game when it was at the end of the game. It was the score you see. How can that be the case? It was because this defense did bow up in the red zone. Okay, we're going to come back and talk about all the guys on defense that you need to call somebody and make financial arrangements because you may be in the wrong profession. And it was real bad. We're going to talk about that next, but first these. And these are, in fact, Robinhood. Robinhood's great and fantastic. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APV on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth with any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. But that's not all, Daniel. We have FanDuel. FanDuel's fantastic, and FanDuel had this line perfectly well the entire time. Actually, Vegas told us this line started at 2.5, came down to 1.5, and somewhere 2 was on the right side. They took all the money in the world. Didn't change anything because they had Ole Miss winning this game. FanDuel knew exactly what they're doing. And right now, when you make a bet of $5 and win, you get $150 in bonus bets. The official Locked On Bulldogs and Locked On Podcast Sportsbook. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats of you, play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win $5 bet. FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Daniel, let's talk about the guys. Let's name names. Let's get them blacklisted because, my gosh, did we suck on covering anybody a crosser. If you started on one side of the field and your route
Sure.
took you over the middle and to the other side of the field,
How was that going to
you
work out for you?
wide open and with yards after catch 4 days.
Wide open. How many wide open receivers did we see in this game, Clint? It's a trick
All-
question. It was all of them.
All of them.
It was all of them. Did the linebackers cover? And I want to be careful how I phrase this.
Please do.
Anyone all day? The answer is I don't think so.
Questionable.
Like I don't think there was any coverage provided by the linebackers. Jonel Aguero. What are you out there doing?
Like, you may have played. Talk about a change. We might not see a Carson Beck change before Saturday afternoon, but there might be a star change before Saturday afternoon, Daniel.
Our best lineup is Malachi Starks, Dan Jackson, and KJ Bolden all playing football. Like that is so obvious. Now, it takes Malachi out of his natural position, which is not ideal.
No.
But neither of those other two guys can play start, and so that's kind of what has to happen. CJ Allen was like absolute garbage tonight. Jonel Aguero was terrible tonight. Chris Cole, this podcast's favorite linebacker, freshman linebacker. Good golly. Clint, this is where you have to start saying the linebackers were really bad. And I'm going to lump in, we're going to go back to some offensive talk because I want to acknowledge some people who are very upset at us for not naming a certain name that had a terrible day today on the offensive side of the ball. But this is where, to get back to the linebackers, I'll tie it together. This is where all the linebackers played really bad. All of the deep middle crossing routes played really bad. Now, hang on.
Is there a common thread? Do you see a common thread there, Daniel?
It's almost as if
the
coaching staff for the other team had a plan.
Yep.
And the coaching staff for our team, and stop me if you've heard this before, had no answers for it. No answers for it. Like, at some point, Glenn, the buck stops with you. Like
this is your
defense, and it's really bad at times. This Georgia defense at times has been great.
The best defense in the entire country when it's on, but when it's off,
there's no pass rush and there's a easy thread common denominator when it's on and when it's off, Clint.
Yes,
it's
it is.
Not like it's rocket science to try to dissect what's going on with this Georgia defense. Are they pressuring the quarterback? They're the best defense in America. Are they not getting to the quarterback? They are absolutely outmatched. They're outclassed. They don't know where to be. They don't know what to do, and they can't execute it when the time comes. It's on the players. It's on the coaches. And so just to be clear, if it's not obvious, when I tie this back to the offensive side of the ball, this was Mike Bobo's worst game as a play caller this season for Georgia, and it wasn't even close at all.
Look, blame all around. Mike Bobo is getting
plenty of blame.
My leftover blame, the nuggets that are still there. It's still true. If I have 100% blame to pass out,
sure,
there are others in line before.
To be fair, you've gone back for seconds and thirds, and so you have quite a few leftovers. There's plenty to go around,
guys. It's a cornucopia of blame. Okay,
yeah.
Glenn Schumann was the worst coordinator coach in that stadium tonight. And it wasn't close.
Some of those offensive calls, Clint, were
some of the offensive calls. It was clear as day that there was an edict that said we're not turning the ball over. It was clear as day. There was an edict.
Okay, let me stop you right here, Clint.
Okay, go ahead.
Why would you do that if you have a quarterback that you still believe in that's played really well for you, quote unquote?
This is where the door is open. I'm telling you, the door has
somebody
opened.
Should have walked through the door if you're going to walk in with a game plan that was basically like, we can't let this donkey beat us today, and so
it's the
we're
same-
going to throw 100 bubble screens to the outside and
It's
let
the
Nate
same
Frazier
thing.
keep fumbling.
Oh my gosh, Nate Frazier.
That was the game
freaking
plan.
ball, bro.
That was the game plan.
The Kerbinese translator is going to have to be in full effect this week, Daniel, because I don't know if you caught it. They asked Kirby at the
I'm going to need to change the battery in it. It's just
Please
malfunctioning
do.
already.
You need a flux capacitor for that thing, Daniel. The battery.
Do you know anyone who has a lead on some plutonium?
We need some. Look, I don't want to meet with Iranians somewhere, but look,
you got to do what you got to do.
I got to do it. Okay, look, there was something before the fourth quarter. It was said, what do you need to do to win this game, Kirby? And he said, well, we need 3 or 4. Okay.
I said this to my son when I watched it.
We need 3 or 4 good drives, and we need a turnover on offense. And then he went out
turnover on defense.
And did a 15-play, 8.5-minute drive that ended in an interception because Ernest Green and the entire offensive line couldn't protect anybody. That Carson Beck, I know he threw it. It was a tip ball. It was pressure coming from the left side. But if Kirby Smart was sincere that it was going to take 3 or 4 drives,
Kirby
death march because Kirby said this. Kirby said, I need points here. I need 7 here, and I'm going to do everything I can. And then on the back end, I'm going to see where we're at. I'm going to see how much time is left. If I used my timeouts, if I need to kick it onside, if I need to squib it, if I need to put him deep and try to get the defense back. But he lied straight to everybody's face when he said, well, it's going to take 3 or 4 more drives and a defensive turnover. No, it didn't. He said, I'm going to go 8.5 minutes, score 7, and then hold them and see where I'm at. That's what he said, yo.
How about the fact that down 2 scores, he said, I'm going to need to score 3 or 4 more times on offense and then get a turnover. Like, translation, they're going to score again. Like,
we're getting our face crushed.
That's what defense is going to give up even more points than you have seen them give up so far. It was a crappy night for Georgia. And we're going to talk this week. So
I was just going to say, we don't have time right now. Come back.
We're going to talk this week. But this night for Georgia is bigger than the game. Okay? The SEC championship game. You kiss that goodbye. But
no, it's gone. That's out.
Guys, if you don't think there are implications to this game, like
we're on bubble watch, y'all. We're just straight up on bubble watch. There's no way around it. Straight period. We're going to talk about all of that and more this whole week coming up on Locked On Bulldogs. Your team every single day. We'll see you guys Monday. We're going to have a show there and come back then. Can't wait for it. It's going to be great. We'll see you all then.